YapaTree has had our office at idiomART ever since they moved to the current location on the Marisco Lamar, Cuenca, around 2.5 years ago. We've really enjoyed our time here, but sadly, it's now time to move on. We're also saying goodbye to our discount card program. This video is going to cover why we've made these changes and what the future holds for YapaTree. Vamos! This right here has been our office for the past few years. It was actually the pantry of the original house, so I'm thinking they stacked this room with rice, grains, vegetables, and maybe even the odd koi running around. No, I simply have no idea what they ate back then, but what I can say is that we enjoyed using this office as one of our main meeting points for clients. Some of my favorite encounters here were pure chance. idiomART attracts a very interesting assortment of folks from all over. We help a lot of expats with their transition to Cuenca, and idiomART is a great place for newcomers to visit and be exposed to new experiences and friends. I will miss just sitting here minding my own business, then a stranger walks past and a conversation will start. Sometimes a couple of hours would pass and would still just be chatting away, so I will miss the opportunity for these types of connections to happen. But putting my business hat on, these conversations weren't exactly efficient, and this leads us to the main reason that we're leaving idiomART: focus. This is the same core reason we are no longer running the discount card program, but I'll get to that in a bit. When we first arrived in idiomART, it was a hugely chaotic time in our lives. It was COVID, we'd moved houses, had a baby, and I decided it was time to finally shift from remote work to something where I could have a greater impact on our Cuenca community. We were in the fortunate position that we had some property investment income coming in, but even so, we had a limited runway of around 6 months worth of living expenses, and with the new baby, our expenses were only going to increase. So it was stressful, and whilst I was a little worried about our finances, deep down I knew that I could always go back to remote work if it really came down to it. As grateful as I was to have this backup plan, I knew that I would consider myself a little bit of a failure if I had to go back to remote work. I'd say it was really my fear of failure that was driving me to make sure YapaTree was successful. So what was our original plan with YapaTree? We originally rented our office in idiomART to support YapaTree's key services, which were real estate, advertising, and our discount card program. But at the core of everything was this desire to serve my new business community. I spent a lot of my life helping businesses grow, especially through digital marketing, which was my core profession for a long time. I knew I could add a lot of value to businesses here and was hoping some quality professional and personal relationships would develop through helping these other businesses. And I did build some quality relationships that I hold dear. However, I did quickly realize that advertising was not going to be a core revenue generator for YapaTree. In startup terms, I'd recognized that we were not going to find product market fit anytime soon, so I deprioritized selling advertising. The reality was the Cuenca market wasn't ready for the type of digital advertising that I could offer. For example, I've always worked with clients that have a website. Very few businesses in Cuenca have this. Those that did have one had very limited knowledge of what is required to make it work for them. So the education gap between what I was offering and what the market could consume was just too great. Every time I wanted to sell basic website advertising like banner ads, I'd have to explain their value and how to calculate ROI to many decision makers who simply didn't appreciate digital channels. There was just so much following up and pushing to get a decision that I simply don't enjoy. If you live in Ecuador or have started preparations for moving here, then you have probably had some difficulty in getting replies to your emails. And this is when you're trying to give a business money. Now imagine the difficulty when you're asking businesses for money. That's a whole new level of following up, and frankly, I hated it. It felt a lot like banging my head against a wall. We still do run ads on YapaTree, but being completely transparent, I never chase advertisers and only run campaigns if they commit to a minimum campaign duration of 6 months. I also flat out tell advertisers if I don't think we'll be able to generate positive ROI for them. This isn't purely because I'm a decent human being. I also just don't need that sort of aggravation in my life. The negative mental energy that I'd spend on an angry or just disappointed client just wasn't worth it. So we were no longer chasing businesses to pay for advertising, but we still had what I thought was a product that businesses could not say no to, the discount card program. And I was partly correct. A lot of businesses saw the value it could bring to helping them grow, and it was an easy sell. There was no cost and you'd get more customers. Of course, they needed to offer some sort of discount or YAPA, which means something extra, which they would need to absorb within their margins. But this was still an easy yes. So then why did the program fail? Two main reasons. The first was really a big blow from one of our main card partners. I can't mention their name because this is Ecuador and defamation is real. I don't want angry lawyer letters or worse. The discount card program was always meant to be more than a gringo-only program. We really wanted it to be something the entire Cuencano community could use. However, this partner changed their terms with us, so we could now only offer discounts to expats and not to locals. This was a huge blow that went against everything we stood for. We fought this decision as much as we could, but ultimately they just didn't care. We tried to find a suitable replacement card partner, but we couldn't. But also, to be fair, we could have searched harder, but the wind was taken out of our sail at this point. And this leads to the second reason it failed: focus. The discount card program was growing, but it required a lot of my time. The selling, setting up the offers on the website, marketing the offers, creating articles and other content, and of course, training the businesses participating in the card program required constant effort too. It was a lot, and I was never able to successfully outsource it. I was spending a lot of my time on the card program at the expense of our real estate program. Real estate is the core revenue driver for the business, and the lack of focus on this was hurting growth. We originally thought, perhaps naively, that we could simply partner with existing real estate agents to deliver a quality service to clients looking to rent or buy. Our first attempt at this provided huge learnings. We partnered with an agent that is still very active in the expat real estate scene in Cuenca, especially for rentals, but the quality was just terrible and they weren't open to my input to make it better. This relationship lasted around 6 months until it became clear that there was no mutual path forward. Our learning: we had to take quality control in-house. This meant building a real estate program from the ground up. But I was also super careful not to make the same mistakes that I see so many other businesses make in Ecuador once they become popular. They can't scale and client service ultimately suffers. So that is where I've been spending most of my time, putting systems and processes in place that allow us to scale our real estate services. And whilst our first attempt at partnering with agents was a huge mistake, it was also very educational, and I was able to establish a hybrid model where we still rely heavily on the local knowledge of our agents, but with a quality layer over this, which helps prevent many issues. We aren't perfect, and yes, we do make mistakes sometimes, but I'd happily argue we are significantly outperforming all of the competition when it comes to quality. What's next for YapaTree? In a nutshell, I'm focusing on where I think I can best serve the community, and this is continuing to help expats make the move here via our real estate business. We're also doing more and more property sales to locals, which makes up over 95% of Cuenca's buying market. We've made some strategic partnerships, which really opens up this market to us, which I will elaborate on in the future. However, this focus on real estate does mean that I've cut back on general publishing about life in Cuenca. We still publish content and we're doing more and more videos. It just may not be as regular as you're used to. Whilst we're saying goodbye to idiomART, we do have another office which we use, but we generally prefer to take our client meetings in cafes anyway, so the office is largely used for staff and other internal meetings. And we won't have our studio anymore. We did most of our filming right here in the loft of our office in idiomART. I don't have a replacement studio yet, and I'm just not sure if I'm going to create one. We're welcoming a baby sometime over the next month, so I'm putting off any decisions around the studio until I can come up for some air again. I'm super grateful to all of you who have supported YapaTree over the years, and we hope to continue to be a trusted authority for content on moving to and living in Cuenca. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate you. Ciao, ciao.